So yesterday, we were discussed about the reflex klystron and also its operation and how it is constructed. Okay, so and also some of the equations which are end equations for calculating the power output and the efficiency. Okay, so now today, we'll discuss about the mode curves, how the mode curves can be drawn or with respect to what, and also how the frequency curves will be generated. All these things we'll discuss. So mode curves, generally what in the reflex klystron, there are power output curves and there are frequency curves, okay, for a particular mode. So as we discussed yesterday, so there is a particular mode at n equal to, so we have n equal to 1 3 by 4 and 2 3 by 4 3 by 4 like that. Okay, so which you have discussed here. For n equal to 0 1 2 3 we will get the n, capital N, which is at 3 by 4 1 3 by 4 like that. So now how these modes with respect to repeller voltage which will vary. Okay, so if you sweep the repeller voltage, then we can control the electronically the mode curves, that output power of the each mode as well as the frequency of operation. Okay, so now this is the output uh, power, RF power, which can be calculated. So and this is the operating frequency based on the repeller voltage as well as the beam voltage, and also the mode, which particular mode we are operating, and also the space, the repeller space. Okay, based on these parameters we will going to calculate the what is the operating frequency for a particular mode. Okay, and this is the repeller voltage, how we can calculate it. So by using these two equations we can able to calculate the repeller voltage as well as the corresponding operating frequency of the particular mode. Okay, so now if you see here the diagram, you will come to know. So there is a sweep of repeller voltage. So when you're going to change the repeller voltage, the modes are going to change. Okay, so that is called as electronic tuning range. So whatever you going to tune with respect to repeller voltage, the modes are going to change. Okay, so wherever the bunching takes place, so why this space is it is not any producing any modes means, so as we discussed here, only at the particular RF positive peak of the RF cycle the bunching of electrons takes place, so that the mode will generate only for a particular time period, so and particular repeller voltage. So if we change the repeller voltage in between this, the bunching will not takes place, so that's why there is a space here, so in between the modes. So now these are the off power points where you are getting the maximum power. Half of that power will calculate the bandwidth of that mode. Okay, so as I said in the earlier class, the 3 by 4th mode is very less time to generate, and so the lowest mode which we consider here it is mode 1 3 by 4. Okay, so this is the power, this is the mode which will generate the maximum power. Okay, subsequent modes which generated by the klystron, it is having the lowest means power will be going to reduce with corresponding to the lowest mode. Okay, so these are the mode curves generated by the reflex klystron, and corresponding frequency curves we can see here. So only within the half power points we can calculate what is the bandwidth of the particular mode. So when you sweep the repeller voltage from the maximum negative voltage to, so and you if you go on reducing it, so then the power will go on reducing but the bandwidth will go on increasing. Okay, so this is about the mode curves of the reflex klystron. So now that is when we sweep the repeller voltage, that will call it as electronic tuning, and even if you can use mechanical tuning by using the, so this short circuit plunger. So there is a cavity which is connected by the positive voltage beam voltage. That voltage, that cavity, if you connected by the short circuit plunger, so then we can tune the frequency range, so by mechanically. Okay, so by using this short circuit plunger we can change the frequency tuning mechanically. Okay, so now you can see the performance of the reflex klystron. So if you see the frequency range, it can be operated from 2 to 200 gigahertz. Okay, So the bandwidth for even particular mode we can able to calculate it. So it is maximum, it is giving plus or minus around 30 megahertz for the repeller voltage, so which is given by plus or minus 10. And also the power output, so we can get it around from 10 milliwatt to 2.5 watt. So this is the actual reflex klystron which will give the particular specification. And also these reflex klystrons are widely used in the microwave source, as a microwave source in the laboratory, as a transmitter. Okay, so this is about the mode curves and the tuning with respect to mechanical tuning as well as the electronic tuning of the reflex klystron. Okay, so now, so if you want to calculate some of the like repeller voltage or power output, you can calculate by using the equation which are given here. So the problems which is given here based on those equations. So you can see a reflex klystron is to be operated at a frequency of 10 gigahertz with DC beam voltage 300 volts and repeller space 0.1 centimeter for 1 3 by 4th of the mode. Okay, so calculate the maximum RF power and corresponding repeller voltage for a beam current of 20 milliamps. So now we can use this equation, so the power equation, the power output equation, and you can calculate. Okay, so now the beam current is given, so the voltage it is given, and particular mode it is given. So now we can calculate what is the RF power, maximum RF power output. Okay, so now you try to calculate by using this equation. So here the beam current which is given to 20 milliampere, and beam voltage which is given 300 volts, and repeller space 0.1 centimeter. So this repeller space you have to convert it to in terms of meter, so it will come around 10 power minus 3 meter. Okay, and the mode which is given 1/3 of the 1 3 by 4th of the mode. Okay, so now what is the equation for the power, maximum RF power? So you can see the equation which is here. So this equation you have to use 0.3986 I naught V naught by N. Okay, so now if you use that, so calculate what is the RF maximum power which is generated. So that is PRF max, which is given by 0.3986 I naught V naught by N. Okay, so if you calculate it, how much it will come? 0.398 into 20 milliampere, or you can take 20 into 10 power minus 3 into V naught 300, so divided by 1.75. So you will get maximum RF power as how much? Can you tell anybody? How much is RF power? Hello, Prashant? Prashant T. Hello. Anybody calculated? Bindu?
Sir, I need that equation.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello? Sir? Hello?
ಎಲ್ಲಪ್ಪ ಎಲ್ಲೋಗ್ತಿದ್ಯಪ್ಪ ಪ್ರಶಾಂತ್? So is it visible, the equation?
Sir, 1.366.
Okay. So the maximum RF power is 1.366 watts. So now calculate the what is repeller voltage. So magnitude of repeller voltage. which is given by the equation 6.74 into 10 power minus 6 F in hertz, okay, and L in meters, okay, the repeller space, and root V naught, which is beam voltage, divided by N minus V naught, okay. So now this is the equation for repeller voltage which we need to calculate it, okay. So this is the repeller voltage, so which I shown here. So this one,
The screen is not visible.
okay. Okay, so repeller space, sorry, repeller voltage, so you can use this equation to calculate it. So L in meters you have to take, F is in hertz, and V naught beam voltage, which is already given, N is 1 3/4 mode, okay. So now put the values here. So L, you convert it L, which is given, so 0.1 centimeter to meter, so you will get 10 power minus 3 meter, and calculate the value of the repeller voltage. So what is VR, which is given by 6.74375 into 10 power minus 6 F, which is given, how much F it is given, it is operated at 10 gigahertz, okay. So take 10 gigahertz and put it here, okay. And so whatever L, 10 power minus 3, so it is 0.1 centimeter, if you convert it to meter, it is 10 power minus 3, and V naught, V naught is root 300 beam voltage divided by 1.75, again minus 300, okay. So calculate what is repeller voltage, how much you got? Meghana, what are you doing, Meghana?
Yes, sir.
So what is the repeller voltage?
Sir, calculating.
Okay, so calculate, around you will get, say, 367 volts, okay. So since the repeller voltage in the negative sign, so we can represent minus 367.08 volt, so this much you will get, okay. So this is about the problem how we can calculate the RF power maximum and the repeller voltage. So similarly, you do this one. A reflex klystron is operated at 5 gigahertz with DC beam voltage of 350 volts. Okay, beam voltage it is given 350 volts, and operating frequency 5 gigahertz. Repeller spacing 0.5 centimeter, and N, which is 3 3/4 of mode. Now calculate the bandwidth over del VR equal to 1 volt. So now we have to calculate the bandwidth. So for the repeller voltage 1 volt, the difference in the repeller voltage, which is equal to 1 volt. So now what are all the things which is given here? So here it is given N equal to, so 3 times of 3/4, so we can uh, take it as 3.75, okay. And del VR, we can use the equation which we already used earlier. So difference in, so the repeller voltage which is given by 6.74, so into 10 power minus 6 into del F, because we need to calculate the bandwidth in hertz. Okay, so we need to take del F, okay, into Lm. So the repeller space which is given, so Lm which is equal to 0.5 centimeter, converted this into meter. Okay, so into V0, so that V0, the beam voltage which is given by 350 volts, which is root of 350. So this divided by, so whatever n which is given by 3.75 minus, so since here it is a difference in the repeller voltage, so we need not to put the beam voltage. Okay, so this is the equation for calculating the bandwidth. So now put the values and calculate what is del. So del VR which is given it as 1 volt, okay, and Lm you can convert the 0.5 by 100, okay. So you need to calculate what is del F in hertz, and Lm which is equal to 0.5 divided by 100, and this multiplied by 350 divided by 3.75. So now we will get the del F which is equal to 1 over this parameters. So how much you will get? Calculate. Anybody who has calculated this one? Bharat, have you calculated?
Doing, sir.
Okay, calculate it. So it will come around 5.9 megahertz. Okay, the bandwidth which will come around 5.9 megahertz. Okay, so now this is about the, so some of the problems about the reflex klystron. So now we'll move to the electronic admittance. So how this will affect the, so the operation. So this electronic admittance Y of reflex klystron, it is a ratio of the beam current which is coming from this electron cathode, electron beam, and the cavity gap voltage at the bunching time. Okay, so whenever the electrons are bunching at the positive RF peak, so then electronic admittance can be calculated by the ratio of this cavity gap voltage and the beam current. So this is the RF, the current, beam current, and the V, it is a cavity gap voltage at the bunching time. So if we take that ratio, so we will get this equation. Okay, so where J1 of x is the Bessel function, x is the bunching parameter which we defined earlier, and beta 1 is the, so the coupling coefficient. Okay, so now, so this is the equation for admittance. So now if you substitute the V1 voltage, that the parameter, and the 2 pi n equal to omega t naught, so in this equation you will get the final admittance value. Okay, electronic admittance value. So this is the electronic admittance. So where we have defined the parameter which is x is the x is, so we already defined the Bessel function J1 of x, and the b beta which is coupling coefficient, and n is the mode, I naught is the beam, the beam current. Okay, so now this is the electronic admittance. So you can use and you can calculate the So what is the electronic admittance which is comes for this klystron, okay? And it is a function of DC beam admittance, which is given by the ratio I naught by V naught. And the equivalent circuit you can see here. So for the reflex klystron, so where L and C, generally this is represent the storage in the klystron, the electric and magnetic storage of energy, and GC is the cavity loss conductance, and GL is the load conductance, okay? So this is the equivalent circuit, so where we can define the admittance the electronic admittance, which is given by the GE and BE, the susceptance and the conductance. So this is the electronic admittance, and this is the storage, that whatever the energy storage with C and L, and these are all the cavity conductance and the load conductance, okay? So now if you want to produce the oscillations, so this condition need to be satisfied, that is the GE becomes, so if it is negative and total conduct in the circuit should be negative. So where RSH, so it represents the summation of the GC plus GL, and RSH is the shunt effective resistance, okay? So this is about the equivalent circuit of the reflex klystron. So now you can see that the diagram where this electronic admittance gives the oscillating region and non-oscillating region. So the increasing n, so this n is the mode parameter which we define, n equal to n plus, so 3 by 4, so where n equal to, so 0 1 2 like that. So we have defined that n, so this is nothing but n plus 3 by 4, that is, so where n equal to 0 1 like that, okay? So where that n is increasing in this, though the plane, that is complex admittance plane, so it is in the spiral form. So this is the increasing in the repeller voltage. So wherever you increase the repeller voltage, so the modes which are generated only in the negative region, that is what the condition. So in order to generate the oscillation, so this conductance should be negative. So in the negative region of that conductance, you will going to get the modes, okay? N equal to 0, 3 by 4, 1 by 1, 3 by 4, 2, 3 by 4 like that, okay? So that's why this left side of your admittance plane will be oscillating region, and right side will be non-oscillating region, okay? So now if this is becomes like plus or minus, so j beta I, so it is when this admittance it is plus or minus j beta I, so jb, so be, so oscillations takes place at frequency lower or higher than the cavity resonance frequency. So whenever that anode cavity resonance is there, so the oscillation other than that frequency, it will be either in the lower side or higher side of the cavity resonance, it will takes place only when this, so ye becomes plus or minus j into be, okay? So this is a condition for the oscillations. So this is about the admittance and the oscillating condition. So now coming to the modulation of reflex klystron. So why do we need the modulation in the reflex klystron? So once we generate the high power microwave signals, so we cannot directly so receive and we can see what are the frequency or what are the power which is generating by the microwave signal, okay? So if you use the normal oscillator, it is not possible to see, so no oscillator it is there to see that much high frequency signal. So that's why what we do generally, so we need that high frequency signal will modulate, and we will detected by this special detector which we will call it as crystal detector. So as like, so the amplitude modulation we will do that using low frequency signal. So that amplitude modulated signal at the receiver side will demodulate using the crystal detector, and we'll take that whatever the power of that signal or the frequency of that signal, okay? So as I said, reflex crystal, so it is used in the microwaves, used in the laboratory as a microwave source. So now to find out the characteristic of line or load, so if you have some load, so in order to find out the characteristic of that load, so we need that source as well as the at the receiver side. So we need to so position the properly to find out what is the power as well as the frequency. So for that, the one of the parameter which we use to define it is voltage standing wave ratio. So this we have studied in the transmission line. So the standing wave ratio, whenever there is a source and load, if it is having mismatched condition, okay, so if there is a load here and if the source is there here and if the signal is transmitted and it is, if there is any mismatch in the load, it will reflect back. Okay, so this reflection and transmission of this signal which will form due to mismatch of the load, the standing waves, that is voltage standing waves. So it will be like this. Okay, and you will get the maximum and Vmax and Vmin of this standing wave. Okay, so now this VSWR, it is a ratio of this Vmax by Vmin, or you can in terms of reflection coefficient, so that is 1 plus gamma by 1 minus gamma. So that reflection, based on that reflection coefficient, you will going to calculate the VSWR. So now this is the reflex klystron is, it is used to find out the load characteristics, and also by using this voltage standing wave minimum position, so we can able to easily find out the characteristic of the load, what it is, the load, whether it is reflective or whether it is matched, so like that. Okay, so now to avoid costly microwave receivers or power meters, the microwave signals are low frequency modulated. As I said, there is no like in terms of oscillator, if you want to see the frequency or if you want to see the amplitude of signal or power of that signal, so instead of using the microwave receivers or any power meters to measure that, so what we do, so we generate that microwave signal using klystron and we'll modulate it using the low frequency signal. And by using this modulated signal at the receiver end, we'll use this special detector which is called as crystal detector or diode detector, and that whatever microwave signal we modulated, that we'll going to detect and we'll see what is the actual frequency of the signal. Okay, so at the receiver side, generally we demodulated the modulated that low frequency signal and we'll see that, but based on that signal we'll predict whether the mode is generating or not. Okay, so the basic modulations which are used here, amplitude modulation and frequency modulation. So this amplitude modulation is used to, so whatever the microwave signal will generate, that we need to send it to the receiver side. So for that purpose we'll use the amplitude modulation. And the frequency modulation is to use to see the mode, how the mode curves are coming, and also the how the mode power it is coming, as we see here. So this mode curves are generated by using this frequency modulation only. Okay, whatever frequency and mode power which is shown here, so this is generated by using the reflex klystron by using the frequency modulation. Okay, so now whenever you want to do the amplitude modulation, so you need to apply low frequency signal, that is 1 kilohertz square wave signal. So here you, this square wave signal, it should be, so within the half of this the mode whichever it is generating. So the amplitude of this square wave should be within the maximum power where it is, the mode is generating the maximum power, and also the center frequency of the frequency curve. So then if you send this low frequency signal, so it will give the constant output power at the particular f0. Okay, so in AM the DC repeller voltage is adjusted. So as I said, this repeller voltage we need to adjust for a particular mode. So if you go on changing the repeller voltage, the modes will going to be changed. So in order to generate this amplitude modulation, we have to take the left edge of the power curve, that is mode power curve, and low frequency signal is superimposed on this low frequency, that is off of left edge of the mode. So then we can get the amplitude modulation with the constant output power. Okay, so this amplitude of the square piles is adjusted to, so this amplitude, this low frequency signal, it is adjusted to get the maximum power. So now due to square wave variation of the effective repeller voltage, the output is a pulsed signal at constant frequency f0. So because of this square wave variation, so now you can vary the frequency and amplitude of this signal. So if you vary the frequency here, so the detected output also vary the frequency. Frequency will be varied and the output power will be constant. So now here the care should be taken such that this amplitude should not go to the same right side part of the mode, or also it should not interfere with the higher order modes. Whatever modes which is generating in the other side of the like repeller voltage, so this should not affect the other modes also. So that we need to take care while generating this amplitude modulation. Okay, so this is about the amplitude modulation. And if you see the frequency modulation, in order to generate these mode curves and the constant RF power and also frequency curves, so we superimpose this sawtooth wave, okay, exactly at the linear region of the frequency curve. Okay, so we need to exactly operate at the linear region of this frequency curve. So this sawtooth is superimposed, and the DC repeller voltage, if you go on varying, so then you will get the frequency curves. Okay, so this is useful for sweeping the frequency band. So we can see the what is the bandwidth of the particular mode, and also what is the resonance frequency of the particular mode. Okay, and the positioning of the DC repeller voltage, so it should be at the maximum position. Okay, wherever the mode which is coming the maximum power, so in that maximum power only you have to operate the, or you have to sweep the frequency, and you have to superimpose the sawtooth wave. Okay, so now at the same time, over a small portion of power output curve maintain almost constant power. So you can see here at this whatever linear region we operate, so it will produce the constant power output. Okay, so this can be obtained in the oscilloscope while sweeping this frequency and by superimpose this sawtooth wave. Okay, so this is about the frequency modulation and amplitude modulation for the reflex klystron. So now coming to next one, so we have used the single cavity, so reflex klystron, so which will act as a microwave oscillator. So now we'll use the two cavities, so for the amplification purpose. Okay, this is another type of klystron, the two cavity klystron, which is used for the amplification of the microwave signal. Okay, so you can see here the diagram of the two cavity klystron. So there is a two, so one cavity it is there, so near the cathode, and one cavity it is there near the collector. Okay, so there is a drift space here, so the spacing should be properly maintained between the two cavities in order to properly bunch the energy of the electrons. Okay, so there is a cavity which is near to the cathode, which will be called as buncher cavity, and there is a output cavity which is called as catcher cavity. Okay, and the input, which is the RF signal, which is given at the buncher cavity, and the output is collected at the catcher cavity. So now so the internal diagram you can see here, two cavity klystron. So there is a cathode and there is a accelerating anode, so which is as like accelerating grid in the reflex klystron. Here also there is an accelerating anode, and there is a buncher cavity, and there is a catcher cavity. The buncher cavity acts as a RF input signal, so where we can give the RF input to this buncher cavity, and RF output will be taken from the catcher cavity. Okay, so these are all the bunched beam, so whatever the electrons which is bunching, so they are forming the beam and it is collected at the collector. Okay, so now this is the drift space D, so which is given by here. So and L is the, so distance between two cavities, which will be properly maintained to so collect the electrons energy properly. Okay, so now a high velocity electron beam is produced by the accelerating anode. So when the cathode is generating the bunch of electrons, so this accelerating anode, it will generate the high beam, and it will be accelerated through this accelerating anode, and it will be passed through the buncher cavity. So it is again it is a re-entrant cavity, resonator cavity. So the grid which is there here, so passing through this grid by this bunch of electrons, and with the space of L which will going to the catcher cavity, the which is called as the output cavity. Okay, and finally it is collected by the collector. So now this focusing of electrons, it will be travel axially, so without spreading. So this should not spread out, the electrons which is formed by the beam, it should not spread out of the this space. Okay, it should be like the beam kind of thing. So now, so the transit time which is there from here to the whatever the buncher cavity to the catcher cavity, so that transit time, during that transit time, so the axial magnetic field will be produced by the external coil. Okay, so that will be there here. So this is whenever the electrons which is coming from the cathode, so it is formed as a beam, and whenever this experiences the RF signal in the buncher cavity, so then the electrons will be velocity modulated as like in the reflex klystron. So this velocity modulated electrons, so it will be density modulated, like the all the electrons which will be collected at one point of the RF cycle at the output cavity which is catcher cavity, and those bunched electrons which will be collected by the collector. Okay, so that will be velocity modulated. So how this velocity modulated, you can see here. So whenever the electrons which is there in the input cavity, that is buncher cavity, so whenever it experiences the so negative RF cycle, then the velocity it will be reduced, and those electrons which is experiences zero RF energy, so that will be unchanged with the velocity. And even so whenever it is experiences the positive RF cycle, so then it will be accelerated. So now all these electrons will be velocity modulated, and it will be bunched at the output cavity whenever this RF signal which is there. So and this input RF signal, so whether so whenever the input RF signal exists at the buncher cavity with the coupling loop, so now this all these electrons will be bunched together, and it will give the energy to the catcher cavity. Okay, so now the combination of anode voltage V0 and the cavity gap width D are such that the transit time of electrons through each cavity is less than the quarter of the time period T. So this condition should be met, so in order to properly bunch the electrons. Okay, so now the electron emitted from the cathode or passes through the buncher cavity with unchanged initial DC velocity. So whether if it experiences the zero RF field here, it will be unchanged velocity, and so if it is experiences the negative RF cycle, it will give the slowest velocity, and if it is experiences the positive RF cycle, it will give the accelerated velocity. Okay, so now so these are all the velocity modulated and collected at the so one point which is called as the density modulation. So now this electron beam is velocity modulated, so as I said, to form the bunches and undergo density modulation in accordance with the input RF signal. So now this density modulated electronic beam induces RF current in the output cavity at the input signal cycle. So now here, so this is called as Applegate diagram. So you can see the input whatever RF signal and output RF signal are opposite phase. Okay, so whenever this happens, so the electron bunching takes place at this output cavity with the opposite phase of the signal. So now the phase of the field in the output cavity is opposite to the input cavity, so that the bunched electrons on the retardation process, so it transfers the energy to the output cavity. So continuously whenever the signal cycle it is going in the opposite phase, so it will due to the negative energy here, the retardation it will happen. So those retardation process it will transfer the energy to the output cavity. So that's why we need to maintain the opposite phase of this output signal with respect to the input RF signal at the buncher cavity. Okay, so the amplitude of the signal at the output cavity attains steady state large value when the loss of kinetic energy of the bunched electrons compensate the output cavity circuit loss. So amplitude of the signal, so it should be so steady state. So in order to compensate the output cavity, catcher cavity circuit losses. So then amplified signal is coupled out of the catcher cavity through the current loop in the load. Either you can use it as the load to collect that RF output power through this coaxial cable and connect at the load to collect the whatever RF output uh, collected at the catcher cavity. Okay. So now the current induced in the catcher cavity is rich in harmonics. Rich in harmonics means the higher order, whatever the modes which is generated by the harmonics, we can collect at any harmonic. Okay. So this cavity can be tuned to either fundamental mode, or it can be desired harmonic, either first harmonic, second harmonic, like that. So any harmonic you can tune to this cavity to collect the energy. Okay, so this is about the two cavity klystron, the principle of operation. So now this velocity modulation, so with respect to equations, if you see, so these are all some of the equations how the velocity modulation happens. So due to the potential difference V naught between anode and cathode, so the electrons from a high current density beam with the axial velocity u naught, which is obtained by the equating kinetic energy and the potential energy. So if we equate it, this is the actual the axial velocity which is produced. Okay, and the transit time and transit angle, so this is given by this equation. Okay, so now the average RF voltage in the buncher gap, so which is given by the equation. B1 is the beam coupling coefficient in the buncher cavity. Okay, so this is about the average RF voltage. And so electrons exit from the buncher gap at the time t1 and t2, so that is addition of this t1 plus t2 to the field free drift space between two cavities with the velocity. So this is the velocity when we add time t1 and t2. So and the transit time in the drift space, which is given by the t3 minus t2. So here it is the given by the different time diagram. So at the positive RF cycle and negative RF cycle, so which is given by, so the condition which we set thus, so the signal whatever the time period, it will be one uh, 1/4 of that time period, so plus this the time. Okay, so that it is different time, so it is calculated through that, and this is the transit time in the drift space. Okay, so and density modulation, so by using this drift space, the transit time in the drift space, so the density modulation occurs, so where the bunching of the electrons takes place, so when the buncher and catcher cavities are spaced to satisfy the condition, so that spacing should be maintained proper, so between this buncher and catcher cavity, so that the density modulation occurs or bunching of electrons takes place properly. Okay, so and also beam spreading or debunching, so at the point of bunching, due to, so it is, since the electrons are negatively charged, so we need to collect the electrons at a particular point. So because of the same charge of the electrons, so some of the repulsive force will be there, so that repulsive force may not be, so lead to beam spreading or debunching, so that undesirable debunching should not be taken in the catcher cavity, such that we need to maintain the space between the buncher cavity and the catcher cavity. Okay, so if it is happens some of the beam spreading or debunching, then the efficiency of the klystron will go down. Okay, so now this is the average output power, which is calculated by the using the Bessel function and the beam coupling coefficient. So whenever we get the maximum output power for the value of phi equal to 0 and the value of x bunching parameter and the beam coupling coefficient, so we'll get the maximum power, so this much. Okay, and the efficiency we'll get it as 58.2%. So for the perfect coupling we'll get this much maximum efficiency. Okay, so this is the equation for efficiency, whatever the AC output power to the DC output, the DC beam power. Okay, So this is about the efficiency. Only end equations you can use for calculating the, so if any problems which is given. Okay, so this is about the two cavity klystron. So we'll discuss this equivalent circuit in the next class.